Welcome to a movie review. My name is Andrew Worcester, and today's movie is called American Pickle with Seth Rogen on HBO Max. It's not HBO, it's HBO Max. And this is a movie I saw advertised a few weeks back, and it really was something that I wanted to watch because although the trailer and the premise really kind of seemed a little ridiculous to me, it did have enough warmth and heart and humor. And I am a fan of Seth Rogen, so I wanted to see how he would play around with the concept and what he would come up with through it as well. And it really, the basic story is this character Herschel, played by Seth Rogen, has a really hard life, and he ends up falling into a batter of pickle brine and gets sealed in that container. And he is there for 100 years before it's open, and he finds himself in the future in 2019. And unfortunately for him, at that point, the love of his life, Sarah, is gone, and everyone he knew is gone. And he has one relative, which is played by Seth Rogen as well. And it's a story kind of his values mixing in with what Seth Rogen's values are of today. And it's very much a fish out of water story about him trying to adapt and learn and become living in today's world where he has all these ideals and morals and ways of handling things of 100 years ago. And that's kind of the humor, and that's the conflict throughout the whole story. And that's really the heart and the warmth of it as well, as you see the pros and cons of both sides. And they do a really good job of showing what we kind of forgot about, that they took as they really 100 years ago was everything to them, that we've kind of abandoned. And there's certain things that today that we might take for granted, that they would be overwhelmed with how accessible things are or how easy certain things are. And the tone of showing those things and displaying that was really on point. And it really made you, without hitting you over the head with any sort of ideology, it just kind of showed them to you and exposed it to you, and see the difference because of Herschel being 100 years older, and then you have Seth Rogen living in this moment now. And as much as the Rogen of today rejected and didn't understand the morals or the work ethic or the thoughts of Herschel, his great-great-great-grandfather, we as an audience kind of, I think for me anyway, I took that in more. And it was also part of the narrative structure of the story, where he had to kind of, it's not something that he would just latch onto initially, but the character arc was him kind of gradually understanding the benefits of what Herschel had, and then Herschel understanding the benefits of what Seth Rogen, I forget what his character's name is, had as well. And has to marry the two really became powerful at certain points of the story. And I don't want to give anything away, but it was really hilarious at some points of that conflict. At first, which was a conflict that was a well-meaning conflict or a misunderstandings conflict that turned into adversarial at some points as well. And to see how that all works out was really powerful and really heartfelt, I think, in sometimes. And it really made me think of family and religion in a lot of ways that I had it in a long time. I think the last, which is weird to think of, because it's not, again, these things, they don't hit you over the head with these concepts and these thoughts. You kind of pick up, kind of gets in your head your own, and you interpret it your own. And there's a movie that came out 10 years ago or something called Book of Eli, which was one of the last movie I can remember that really had an effect on me about religious belief and the power of religion and the purpose of religion. And this was a movie that did the same thing to me in a lot of ways, or at least the first movie since that had any sort of effect on me for what religion is and what it means to people. It also was really interesting for me looking at it as well as seeing the different kind of style of movie this is for Seth Rogen. And what I thought about was, because I back from Knocked Up, which is 15 years ago or something, to see how this might be the first time we've ever seen an actor, who is not only an actor, but a writer and a producer, and he's directed some, and to see how they've grown and how they've developed their sensibility or their maturity or their film talent from not only just an actor's perspective of like a child actor going into adulthood and making movies, but also from a producing standpoint and a writing standpoint. And this is from the beginning. I mean, he hasn't all of a sudden in his 30s decided, oh, I'm going to start writing now, or I have enough clout, I can put myself as a producer on something. This is someone that's been doing that from the beginning, when he did, Superbad and Pineapple Express. These are all their, like, him and Evan Goldberg's movies. So to see that development is really kind of fascinating. Is seeing the maturity of when he wrote things when he was in high school, and those were high school stoner and mature movies that were hilarious for their tone and what they were. And now he's maturing into something with a little bit more substance, a little still kind of silly and comedic, but also has a lot more grown-up heart as someone. This is someone in their 30s instead of someone who's 16. And you can see that difference as he's older and he's different. The style and the tone of his movies are different. And I'm sure he's going to produce things like, Sausage Party still. And that's certainly part of him forever. And that's who he is. And that's in his DNA. And that's great. But to see this other side of him and this development of him was really fascinating. And it makes you want to see what else is he going to do. And this is definitely a watch. It's like an hour and 40 minutes or so. It's something you got to stick with. It's hilarious in parts, and it really has the heart and the meaning, especially at the end, because it takes some twists and turns. It's not an easy road to where it gets to, even though it doesn't come across as heavy or overly dramatic, but it's just not an easy road to get there is the best way to say it. So I definitely recommend it. It's starring Seth Rogen. It's called An American Pickle. It's debuted on HBO Max the beginning of August. Available there for you to watch. Certainly check it out. I appreciate you spending about 7 minutes of your time with me for this review, and I'll see you next time. Take care.